and welcome to Reconfidence channel, where we discuss everything confidence. My name is Paps Wanyugi, your partner in creating the life you desire and deserve. And I want us to think about your inner child. Do you realize that the child you used to be when you were small still lives in you? Like in myself, there is the 5-year-old, there is the teenager, there is the adult, all of them and all their experiences are within me. In a way that I did not give up the child when I grew up. All my experiences are intact. Everything I've not dealt with is still within me. And why? It's because the childhood wounds are more stubborn than the adulthood wounds. And that is why we're having this conversation on why we need to heal the inner child. I want to discuss 3 sources of our childhood wounds, of our inner wounds. Where do they come from? And one of the places is, number 1, your upbringing. Everything that I went through when I was brought up, what I was told about myself, about my life, all those things still live within me. And it is important for us to realize that the wounds of my childhood, if they were not resolved, because some of them were not my fault, and that is usually the unfortunate thing about our childhood wounds. It was not your fault. Some of us were abused, molested, some of us were neglected, some of us were rejected, some of us were shamed, and all these things, we still sometimes carry them to our adulthood if we did not deal with it intentionally. And it is important to realize that my childhood wounds, and especially where my upbringing is concerned, was not my fault. Some of us were born into families which had histories that were painful or sometimes shameful, and by default we were classified, categorized and labeled. And it is important for you to realize that it was not my fault. And so one of the things to heal the wounds of our upbringing is to make peace with ourselves and to just love yourself and accept yourself for who you are. And then number 2, sources of our childhood wounds is also mistakes. Sometimes we made mistakes and blunders when we were growing up, and of course we are still paying for them. Some of us, it was even in our childhood, and probably our family has never forgiven us for it. And it is important for us to also be able to let go of those childhood wounds. And it is important for us to realize that our childhood wounds, where it was our mistakes and faults, the only remedy is to forgive ourselves. We need to let go of ourselves even before other people do. We teach other people to forgive us because we have forgiven ourselves, and we are also learning to validate that yes, this is what I did, this is who I was, but it doesn't define who I am right now. And especially during our teenagehood, I think that is where sometimes we have a lot of dramas that is happening in our space that hurts our family, hurts our parents. And it is important that you forgive yourself and you allow yourself to be this person who is wiser and who is better right now. And number 3, sources of our wounds is labeling. You know, things that people said about us, things that people have been calling us, and we realize that with time, whenever we are around those people, we actually feel like what they are calling us or labeling us. And it is important for us to realize that I am not that. And how we get over the wounds of labeling, where people call us what we are not or what we think we are not, it is just self-validation. It's important to defend ourselves and to learn to explain ourselves and to defend ourselves, especially in the presence of people who are accusing us on anything. And of course, the other source of our childhood wounds is also spiritual warfare. To just tell ourselves we do not live in an ideal world. Things are not ideal. You know, there will be trials of life, there will be temptations, there will be things that will happen, there will be disasters, and all these things, if I put them in the hands of God, they're able to work together for my good. As we do this conversation, I also want to extend my invitation to you on our Healing Your Inner Child retreat. We're going to have an amazing moment where we unpack all these things and you're able to share what is happening in our space, what is hurting us, what is hindering us, what is stopping us, and of course also have a lot of fun. You know, as we play childhood games and just have a moment to share our childhood as we first of all embrace that child and make sure that they are whole. My name is Paps Wanyugi, your partner in creating the life you desire and deserve. Ciao.